All right, prep class. This is Mr. Luna back at you here for another week worth of exercises and a new song for you guys to play. All right, this week we're going to go ahead and work on what I've called the rhythm progression exercise. Basically, this is you playing one of your scales: B flat scale, C scale, and this week an A scale, which I think would work really well for my guitar players. Um, and you're playing. The rhythms in order of starting with whole notes, then into half notes, quarter notes, and then eighth notes. Many of you have actually played a version of this particular exercise, but the main purpose of this exercise is to check note length, to make sure that you are giving each note that we play its full value. For our beginners, this is especially important when we're playing half notes and quarter notes. When we're learning how to play these lengths of notes. Half notes and quarter notes tend to be the biggest problem for students when we're first getting to know our instruments and learning how to play music. Quarter notes tend to end up sounding like eighth notes. In other words, as short as an eighth note, and then half notes tend to sound more like quarter notes. So when we're working through this, we want to work on making sure that you play each note nice and long, or as long as possible, of course, without going over. And when we do this, we want to make sure that we're giving a light articulation for each of these notes. In other words, trying to make sure that we give each note its full length, and then, of course, articulating in a way that is going to separate the notes without taking too much space away from the note itself. All right, so when you get started with this exercise, again, you want to be able to start with any particular scale you want, whichever you feel comfortable with. If you want to do the concert B flat version, the C version, the A version, they're all there. They're all on your page, and then they're now, I've gone ahead and created them in separate recordings as well, so that you can choose which scale that you want to work on. So again, if you want to do a B flat scale version, then there's a B flat scale version, or recording I should say, of that. There's a C version and an A version as well. So again, use whichever you want. The goal again of the exercise is to be able to play to be able to play it with any of the scales, not just the one you choose at first, but you want to be able to get to that point where you can do all three of these scales, and then eventually be able to apply it to any other scale that you may learn. Remember, starting off with just major scales. There's 12 of them, so just use the rhythm, and you can go through all of them in this particular way. Uh, for my wind and voice students, make sure that you're taking a big breath when you start. The goal should be to be able to play at least 4 measures before you take a breath. So again, breathe from the bottom up, and then again, go for 4 measures. If you can't do that quite yet, try to go for 2 measures at a time before taking a breath. And again, taking a deep breath when possible. Uh, Percussion and bell players, when you get to the half notes and the whole notes, you want to go ahead and start rolling. You can use either a single stroke roll or a double stroke roll. Either way, you want to make sure that you roll for the amount of time needed. I would say learn to take breaths in between as well, even though you don't need air in order to play. Being able to learn when to take a breath, just like the wind players, will help you know when to lift those sticks up and then when to re-attack for the next note. String players, remember to press down firmly and have your fingers right up against the fret, but not on top of the fret. This will allow the string to ring better. Don't be afraid to pluck each string firmly when playing. You don't want to completely act as if you're about to tear it off the bass or the guitar, but again, give it a nice firm pluck so that the string has a chance to really ring. And then make sure that when letting the note ring, try to move your finger at the last moment. You want to be able to move those fingers off that note. Let me rephrase. Uh, Basically, you want to let that string ring for as long as possible. When you lift up your finger and get ready to go to the next note, the note stops. So the moment that finger comes off the fret or off the guitar, the note will stop ringing. So again, keep it on there as long as possible when you've plucked it, and then move the finger at the last moment. So again, the string rings for as long as possible. Piano players, I want you to start off by playing the top part of the line in treble clef. Make sure just single note, or you can do, if it's concert B flat, play your concert B flat. Maybe play just one B flat on each finger. and get the rhythm down. The chords are down there. I want you to play them just as whole notes first. Get used to them. As you see, again, if you're looking at any of the exercises, you'll see that the first note, it goes four measures before it changes. So you'll play concert B flat, concert B flat, concert B flat, concert B flat, and then it switches over to the next one, which is your C minor. Again, get used to them as whole notes, and then once you feel comfortable, then you can start adding the rhythm to it. If you want to do it in any other way where you want to just start off with the rhythm, that's great too. But again, I think this will be the easiest course if you're still getting used to playing with chords. All right. Again, use the play along. That's been included. One again at 90 beats per minute and another one at 120. Start off with the slow one. Make sure that you feel comfortable with it. And as you get better, again, move up to the faster version of it. If it turns out that you're playing, say, in the key of D and you don't have a recording for that, reach out to me. Maybe have your parents send me an email. I should be able to get you a version of that, or at least a recording of that for you to play along with if that's something that you would care for. All right, so now moving into the song of the week. Song of the week is Blue Monk by Milt Jackson. So Milt Jackson, the recording that we have for you is Milt Jackson with Miles Davis. Again, with any song that you're learning how to play, you always want to make sure that you get a good idea of what it sounds like. Again, the recording might be a bit different from the way it's written on your music, so don't worry too much about it, but the basic essence is always there. The recordings, or I should say, the play-alongs that I've created are exactly as your music is written. So listen to that one if you want to get an exact rhythm of what you're playing. And again, once you get to a point where you're comfortable with the melody and you're able to play it, then that's when you go back to the Milt Jackson, Miles Davis recording, and then try to copy the style in which it's being played, making sure that you're swinging those eighth notes. Okay. So again, just like the other tunes that we've had before, start playing the music by just learning the notes in order. Look at maybe one or two measures, see what notes they are, and then play those notes in order slowly. Don't play them in rhythm. Make sure that you get those notes in your ear. You know what fingering is. You know what the embouchure is going to feel like. You know where your hands are going to be, etc., etc. Get used to the notes and make sure that you're playing them correctly and in the right order. If you need to, feel free to write in your notes and or fingerings, positions, whatever you need onto your music. Again, use a pencil, not a pen. Pencil you can always erase and make corrections if needed. But a pen, once it's on there, obviously it's going to be hard to erase, or it just starts kind of looking kind of messy. So again, use a pencil. Um, Once you're comfortable with the notes and the order they're played in, then you want to go ahead and start adding the rhythm to it. The rhythm it shouldn't be too tough. For the most part, it's quarter notes and eighth notes. So 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 3, etc., etc. Listen to the play along, listen to the recording to get a better idea of the rhythm, and then go ahead and start playing. Once you've gotten that down, start playing with the recording. Excuse me, the play along at 90 beats per minute. Uh, I would say when you make a mistake, stop the recording and work on the section where you made the mistake. Don't go too far back. Don't go too far ahead. Work on maybe a measure's worth. Make sure you get them under your fingers. Especially when you're having trouble going between two different notes, practice those two notes back and forth. If you're having a hard time going from, note one, note two, because maybe it's a hard fingering, or maybe your embouchure really has to change in order to get up to that note, practice those two notes. Go up and down, up and down, up and down with those two notes until you feel comfortable, until you can feel what it feels like to play between those notes. And then go back, start it all over, and then get to it. Continue doing this until you can play maybe all of section A. Again, this tune is in A format, meaning you play the A section twice, you play B, and then you play A again at the end. Learn it all the way through. Feel free to always stop, work on parts, or just loop certain sections over and over until you get them. Then once you have that, then you'll go through and just play the entire thing all the way through. And of course, once you feel comfortable, go ahead and move up to the 120 beats per minute version of it. And just play along. Remember, a good part of what we're doing here is just simply learning songs so that we start having a bank of music that we're able to play that we can eventually just kind of join in on a jam session, or just be able to learn how to play a solo over that, or just simply for the fact of just knowing the tunes overall. Again, this is all part of learning your instrument and learning the music. um, all right, so last but not least, what I'd like for you to just kind of check out is, again, the videos of the week. These are always just kind of fun videos for us to check out. I found one here, which is basically boomwhackers playing a variation in various themes from Star Wars. For those of you who don't know what a boomwhacker is, it's just basically a long um, plastic tube that when you hit it creates a certain pitch. And of course, they're made in different sizes. The shorter they are, the higher in pitch. The longer they are, the lower in pitch. But they're kind of used like drumsticks, basically. And they, when put together, create kind of a cool melody, and a lot of cool stuff can be done. These are usually used in elementary settings, but so much can be done with them when they're really put into the hands of music students who really know what they're doing. And then the other one, kind of staying in the same field with classroom instruments, is to go ahead and check out Jimmy Fallon's Classroom Instruments, which is a segment from the Jimmy Fallon Show, where they bring in a musical guest along with his house band, The Roots, and they use a bunch of classroom elementary instruments to play some popular tunes. In this case, with Camila Cabello. So check out that. I think it's a lot of fun. And again, as always, if you have any questions, concerns, have your parents shoot me an email, and I'll be happy to help you out. And don't forget to sign up for lessons. I definitely got some space available. The link to that, to be able to set up an appointment to get a lesson, again, is in the email. Again, always feel free to reach out if you have any questions. All right, thank you so much, everyone, and have a great week. Take care.